What's going on, you guys? So I just wanted to get my quick thoughts on this weekend. We had Keyshawn Davis and DB3 acting like a bunch of dummies. Keyshawn Davis, had a big fight coming up with Edwin De Los Santos for his, WBO title. But this dude comes in 4.3 pounds overweight, loses his title on the scale, didn't really even try to, cut the weight to regain his title and make this fight happen. But instead, the fight gets canceled. More than 2,000 people come in trying to refund their tickets that they paid money for to watch this dude fight. And then the night of the fight, this guy's sitting in the stands eating popcorn, laughing, joking around like nothing happened, right? His first brother wins. The second brother in the co-main goes in there and gets his butt whooped by Namir Albright, who Keyshawn Davis actually has a no contest over because he popped dirty smoking weed, right? So the fight got overturned into a no contest, but he had won the fight. But Kelvin loses. After the fight, two of the Davis brothers, Keyshawn and Keon, and Troy Isley, go in there and try to jump Namir Albright and put a little lump over his forehead. After he went 10 rounds and beat up on the big brother, right? These dummies go into his locker room and try to punk him and jump him. Cause a big old scene, put his baby in harm's way. Just a big mess, honestly, if you're looking at the videos and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have all seen it by now, but the guy just did not make a real good account for himself. And to make matters even worse, the dude he was talking mess to during the press conferences trying to punk, and Abdullah Mason goes out there and shines, puts the show on his back, performs well, and gets his guy out of there in 5. And Abdullah Mason, honestly, everything he did looked way better because of what Keyshawn Davis, what he did, how he handled himself throughout this whole fight week. It just made Keyshawn Davis look like a stupid idiot. A dummy who can't control his emotions, hot-headed, very female energy. Overall, just a horrible look for him and his brothers, especially in his hometown. Man, it doesn't look good for Keyshawn Davis. And this is crazy because it's so funny how fast things can turn around for you when just a little less than a week ago, this guy was regarded as one of the next up-and-coming superstars in the sport of boxing. Just won a world title, was making a real good name for himself, and had a very big fight coming up. And if he would have performed well and got the win, it definitely would have put him on the map, probably a little bit higher than Shakur Stevenson. And very well could have set up a lot of other opportunities for him. And this guy just became an ambassador for the ring, linked up with Turki Al-Sheikh, and had a lot of promise ahead of him, man. If he would have won this fight and performed well, who knows what could have been next for Keyshawn Davis, right? But instead, he fumbled that whole entire situation. And very well could possibly be getting sued, possibly arrested. Who knows how bad this whole situation can turn for him. But it's just crazy that this guy has worked his whole entire life to becoming a world champion, to becoming a superstar in the sport, and how fast a couple mistakes can turn everything around for you. You're supposed to be slow to anger, right? And if you're a professional and you're in the spotlight, everything is magnified. Everything is a bigger deal than what it really appears to be, right? People like me and other, boxing outlets, media members, pundits, this, that, and the other, they're all going to react to this. And you're live on ESPN acting a fool. If I'm Turki Al-Sheikh and I'm Bob Arum, I'm pretty much considering dropping you from appearing on any of my shows, writing you any checks because of your unprofessionalism, bro. You cost them money. You had, like I said, over 2,000 people that wanted refunds because you couldn't make weight and you got the fight canceled. Right? If you couldn't make weight, why sign the contract to make the weight? You tried going in there with an unfair advantage, and to make matters even a little more worse, you're linked up with Bomac. You're supposed to be, Terrence Crawford is supposed to be one of your mentors. You had Floyd Mayweather coming into the gym, watching you spar. Not to say that they're responsible for any of this stuff, but it's a bad look on them. Like, how are you affiliated, good friends with possibly the greatest fighter of all time if he beats Canelo, right? And Terrence Crawford. How are you linked up with him and acting a fool, being an unprofessional fighter? Well, you're a professional fighter, but you're acting unprofessional by coming in overweight like that and then acting a fool. You had Terrence Crawford, and Bomac go into the locker room and, try to make things better, right? And they apologized on your behalf. But you would think if you had a guy like that giving you game, you wouldn't be doing stupid stuff like that. But clearly this shouldn't be a reflection on any of those other guys. It's just Keyshawn Davis acting like an idiot and a spoiled little punk, honestly. The dude fumbled the bag and possibly fumbled many more bags because of how he handled himself this last weekend. So, all in all, man, it's not a good look. And I even noticed a few things in the Cigar Talk interview where he had Keyshawn Davis on. And there's a few things that he had said that definitely did not sit well with me as a fan of him. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. And what those things were just his mindset on how he looks at the sport of boxing. He made a reference to him and along with other fighters being crabs in the sport of boxing. He pretty much was just saying, oh, we're all pawns in the sport. Like, we're all just trying to, get to the top of the rat race and blah, blah, blah. And I just didn't like that. And he made a comment saying, oh, he wants to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the GOAT. But he don't know if he want to put in the work to do that. He don't know if he can. That's not a good mindset to have if you're wanting to be the GOAT. It's just showing that you're unsure of yourself, for one. And you don't know whether or not you want to work that hard. And then you're big up in guys like Tank Davis. Like, why would you want to... Yes, Tank Davis is a cash cow in the sport of boxing, right? And at the end of the day, these guys are prize fighters. They want to make money, right? But wanting to be like Tank Davis and model your career off Tank Davis, and then saying you want to be the GOAT, those two things are conflicting. It's like the opposite of what they are, right? Tank Davis is not even a Hall of Famer. He just got his butt whooped his last fight by a 130-pounder that came up, and it was a cherry pick gone wrong. The dude has not shown that he wants to be a great. So why would you want to say you want to be like Tank Davis, but you also want to be the greatest of all time? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Those two things contradict each other. And then, a couple other things that he said was, how long he wants to be in the sport of boxing, right? And yeah, it's fine to have, certain goals for yourself, year, 3 year, 5 year, maybe even 10 year, things you want to accomplish, right? But when you're a 25-year-old fighter who literally just won a world title in your last fight and you're talking about retirement, like, right there, I'm questioning your hunger for the sport of boxing. Like, do you actually want to be doing this, bro? Like, I don't know. It's a mindset thing that I noticed with Keyshawn Davis. And this was before the press conferences and all that stuff, right? It just did not sit well with me when I was watching that interview. So, I guess all in all, dude, it's just not a good look for Keyshawn Davis, and I'm not sure how things in the future are going to look for him. You know, maybe things do turn back around, and maybe he can go up to 140 pounds. And I think a good first fight actually would be Namir Albright, since he just moved up to 140 pounds, and you're trying to campaign there now, right? Since you can't make 135 no more, why not run it back with Namir Albright? He just whooped on your older brother. It's got a storyline now. So I think it'd be a good fight. Let's make that fight happen next. But like I said, not a good look for Keyshawn Davis and DB3 this last weekend. And we'll see if things, you know, turn around for all of them. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought. Hate, like, comment, subscribe.